Hi there, Victor Frost speaking to you, anarchist artist. Okay, today I wanted to talk about minarchists and anarchists and perhaps tossing out a few thoughts to, quite frankly, get the minarchists onto the anarchist side by the weight of sheer logic and argument and historically empirical based facts that facts being presented in such a way as not to suggest that they're to be contended or contested rather, but things that we can all say we know to be true, and it is just historical fact, and which has a great deal of relevance to the anarchist position, and I'll explain and cite what I mean by that in a moment. Now, just basically dealing with facts as I like to from which to spring any kind of like hypothesis or theories. Let's start with some basic facts. One of the first facts to deal with is the current American government, the state as we know it today, not in some kind of constitutionally foggy, abstract, idealistic way as how we have, as of how government has been presented, and how it can be achieved to be as in the minds of the minarchists, but just simply as it is right now. Okay, what's going on right now when it comes to the Federal Reserve, when it comes to the powers that be, when it comes to the waging of war, when it comes to the printing of fiat currency, when it comes to the miserably failed government programs on every conceivable issue, whether that be the war on illiteracy, the war on drugs, the war on this, the war on that. I mean, it's the welfare state. It's abysmal failure. There's some serious problems, and I don't think that is something in which minarchists and anarchists are divided. So let's acknowledge that much. We know that that's what's going on right there. We can agree on that basic fact of what the state is responsible for at current and the wreckage that it's bringing about. So the a lot of people tend to think that any kind of criticism, like severe criticism, that the anarchist would level, there are those people who think that this is just crackpot conspiracy theories. Like any criticism of the government of the state, then you're in the crackpot conspiracy theory camp right away. Like it just shows you right there the public schooling indoctrination, that if the first thing that comes to your mind of any critical inquiry of government puts you in a crackpot area. I mean, anybody who thinks that, obviously that's an example of state propaganda and public compulsory schooling has conditioned that person to immediately have that kind of emotional knee-jerk reaction, because there is no thought within that type of framework, that mental framework. That's a very sad thing. So for those kind of people out there who would dismiss the anarchist and the minarchist alike, because the minarchist can obviously be outspoken and negative and critical, and very righteously angry at what is happening within government today. Like Christopher Green, for example, comes to mind. Christopher Green himself has been called a crackpot, like a conspiracy theorist, just as much as I've been subject to that type of thing, being an anarchist. And, it's kind of ironical that the crackpot disses that I would get would come from minarchists, since they themselves have been subject to it, and they know that it's ridiculous. They know that this type of attack is ridiculous against them. They just think anybody that calls a guy like Christopher Green, for all the facts that he's bringing to the fore, and kind of like dismiss him as a crackpot conspiracy theorist. Well, I know his type of frustration. He rightfully has the right perspective to turn around and go like, no, you're the ignorant fool, man. You're lost in the dark. You're fucking sheeple. You don't know what's going down. You're ignorant of what the current realities are. And this is the thing that can bring anarchists and minarchists together, is to not diss one another as crackpot theorists or anything like that, because I've been on the receiving end of that from Christopher Green and his goon companions there, Fabian and Falcon. He should really know better. He should really have a little bit more sympathy, because I am making an articulate case for liberty and a genuine definition and understanding of freedom. And I'm not an anarchist because I'm having some kind of like temper tantrum to authorities that began in kindergarten school, where the teacher gave me a dirty look, so that represents all of authority. I'm just rebelling against that. It's just like some kind of like a teenage angst, rebellion, mindless rebellion, rebel without a cause kind of stance. And I like to see mayhem in the streets and things like that. I mean, this is just fucking ridiculous. I've made I don't know how many posts and videos to clarify my position on that. So it's just something that minarchists are just very ignorant of where the philosophical anarchist is coming from. So now the real difference here, another conflict is that the anarchist has done the extra legwork. Now the minarchist has done a lot of study and a great deal of considerable insight in dissecting certain corruptions within the state, but all of that is within a political realm. It's on the state level. The anarchist is bringing the minarchist would say that government has been hijacked, and this, in other words, the government is something that in the abstract is like all cozy and good and represents order and civilization and ethics. And if anything goes askew, then it means, well, the government has been hijacked. Whereas the anarchist would say that no, like what you see, the predations and the horror and the bloodshed, that is the state. That's just the state being the state. Okay, this is a 6,000 year institution. I mean, roughly speaking, and it's always been for bloodshed. The state is a phenomenon that has been established and maintained by force, and the real issue here is not just the initiation of force, but it's also basically much more greater than physical coercion. It becomes an ideological battle. Okay, that is where the real wage is to be fought, is in the realm of ideas. Okay, statism is it's an idea. It's a mental construct. It is preempted morality. It's preempted anything that gets said to be good. It's done it on an ideological basis, and that's how they have sold it. That is how it's been sold. Beyond a certain point, nobody just exerting brute physical force and and to maintain that type of power that one hopes to coop up with the initiation of force. To maintain that power cannot be perpetually only done on the basis of raw physical force. It has to be, you have to win the minds of people, to break them down, to break their spirits, and that's where patriotism comes into it, and that's where ideology comes into it. That's where becoming preempting morality. When I say preempting morality, meaning like in the sense of that if you don't pay your taxes, you're a bad person. So, and people who buy into that, it's like, yeah, I'm cheating the government, and so this is just another form of slavery. The most effective form of slavery you can have is mental slavery, and that's precisely what the religionists do. That's what the statists and the ruling class has always done. So that this is the one thing that I want to put forth to the minarchists, especially like Christopher Green, is that he knows that the state is a propaganda lying dispensing machine. Okay, he knows that. But he doesn't recognize the greatest lie of all. The greatest lie of all. And the greatest lie of all is that we need the state at all. He just doesn't get that. He just doesn't get that. He sees all the laws, all the lies and justifying and propagandizing people to get them all mushy-brained towards the wars. We're fighting freedom, we're spreading democracy. I mean, he sees all that bullshit, right? But he just doesn't. And the state is a lying, murderous, plundering machine. They preempted morality. They take over ideology. They get into the minds of children. Public compulsory schooling. It's an ideological war that has been waged and leveled. And that's basically what the state does. The state of anywhere in the fucking country. I mean, anywhere in the world or any war at any time in point of history. That's what it does. That's the state. It is evil through and through. Okay, so that is the biggest lie that Christopher Green is yet to discover. Thank you for listening. Victor Pross signing out, Anarchist Artist. Pop goes the culture.